Thank you also, Shama Prasad Mukherjee Research Foundation, for giving me this opportunity. I know you have some very eminent people in your foundation working towards strengthening India, building India's image, and also making sure that India's foundations are further and further infused with the spirit of nationalism, which is the very essence with which Dr. Shama Prasad Mukherjee went to J&K, and of course we lost him in a very difficult kind of a situation which till today remains a mystery. But what does not remain a mystery is his commitment to building an India which would not be looking at itself in pieces. He wanted that one India, and therefore the foundation carrying his name will obviously be committed towards building that one India with a strong message of nationalism, India's unique culture. And as you reminded at the beginning of your intervention, today we are meeting on a very important day. And coincidentally, it happens to be such a day that when we are talking about India, we do recall the great words of Swami Vivekananda, which you rightly quoted as being recalled by former finance minister. Now, you've asked me to speak on this topic of Atmanirbhar Bharat, becoming the initiative through which we can regain that prominence of India, that predominance that India has always had in determining the course for the global narrative of how countries will have to lead themselves for a betterment of their citizens, of better human values, of making better living for their citizens, but not at the cost of exploitation, not at the cost of over-exploiting resources, not at the cost of greed, but at the cost of greater and greater emancipation, not at the cost of, but more emphasizing on the emancipation of human lives. But Atmanirbhar Bharat in India at a time of coronavirus is a voice which the Prime Minister has given to every Indian, that we have the capability within this country, both of skill and of resources, again both of enterprise and also that commitment for the country, to build a very strong India. So this Atmanirbhar, from the time it has been announced by the Honorable Prime Minister at a time when challenges were far more, and the challenges continue even today, but to speak of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, some who could not understand the vision with which Prime Minister said, started questioning us, saying, does it mean that you're going to look inwards? Does it mean you're going to shut all the doors to the entire world around us? Does it mean that you're not going to place emphasis on linking India with the global value chains? Does it mean that you're not going to export to the other economies? Are you talking about an India which will go back to those very difficult and suffering days of socialism? None of that, let me assure you. None of that. Atmanirbhar Bharat, when Prime Minister said, even at a time like coronavirus pandemic lockdown, he was speaking for that India which can build on its strengths, on the strength of its people, who, given any difficult circumstances, have proven through their entrepreneurship that they can build this India in challenging times too. He's spoken on behalf of the Indian spirit which will fight and come out of any difficult situation, which actually even during troubled times in India attained high levels of education, excelled in science, engineering, mathematics. We had such Nobel laureates who built on their own strengths. whether it's Bengal or whether it's from the south. You had experts who built on their strengths, took mathematics to their heights, physics to their heights, English to their height, and so on. So, Prime Minister's call for Atmanirbhar is to build on our strengths. Now, not just in literature, philosophy, science, and music, or such um, spheres of human activity in which the world is looking at us now, when at a time when there's no vaccine for the pandemic, people are looking at the healing properties and also the preventive qualities of herbal medicines. So, even as the world is looking at us, for many of those millennia tested knowledge, the knowledge which, traditional knowledge which we have had, people are looking at us for all that. But when Prime Minister spoke about Atmanirbhar, therefore, also underlining the point that it has got to be building India's strength so that we can stand up and take the world in our own terms and integrate with the world in such a way that we can contribute to this global economy. I can give 3 or 4 specific examples which will make you, I'm sure many of you all know those examples, but you want to reiterate it here. And when we reiterate it here, you know how simple they can be, but yet how they allow others to take advantage of India, chipping into our strengths, and in the long run, chipping away that strength in total, that we become dependent on somebody else. I'll start with a simple example which most Indians in their households do buy: agarbattis. We buy agarbattis, in every household we do buy agarbattis. What are the essential ingredients for it? Every ingredient is available in India. If there is an exotic ingredient, like say joss powder, which has to come from somewhere else, your bamboo is available in India. Manpower is available to do this, largely manual. You may have machine cut bamboos, but then the fragrant bringing into those sticks, those unique fragrance and everything else is largely manually done. Can we not do this? Can we not utilize our bamboo wealth, which is available all over the country and particularly in the Northeast? And if you take that one example, you will see how India gradually became completely dependent on importing agarbattis. Bamboo, therefore, was to be an essential ingredient, but it was considered a forest produce. You couldn't touch a forest produce without every time seeking licenses to take the produce, with limited quantity only being allowed to come out. So in a very well thought out, comprehensively planned, even for such a small thing, I'm trying to tell you that it required so many different levels of decision making, that finally, if India can become, even for a small thing like agarbatti, which is a day-to-day usable item, there were so many different steps to be taken, all in some way linked with the other, like a string of beads. And then you're able to now say we have opened up that opportunity, instead of importing it at zero duty and flooding our market with agarbattis which we are importing, which we are capable of producing. So bamboo was removed from the forest produce list. Its import was restricted last year. Because it came under the FTA, it was coming in for free without any duties on it. Once we put it in restricted, we also brought the duties up. And with that, the bamboo coming in was contained. Even now, maybe it comes in, but in a very limited quantity. Simultaneously, both the Khadi Village Industries Commission and others were given a lot of encouragement to open up many more units which can help in production of this, giving jobs to a lot of people. If this is one example, there are examples like that which, even for the token's sake, are worth mentioning. India, from its freedom movement days, designed its flag, made its flag. The national flag had a big sense of pride, because we made it out of khadi. It was essentially made in India, most often made only by hand, never by machine. and so on. The stipulations for our national flag were so very clearly laid out. But gradually, even on a national flag, we started importing it. And the import quantities were increasing such that it reached a point where we wondered, did we ever produce this at home? Did we ever manufacture it in India? Even that has now gradually been restored. If these are symbolic, I'll tell you actually the example of how our dependence, in spite of our having had the capacity to produce, has affected core industries. India is known as a bulk drug exporter. And in bulk drug exports, India has led the way for the last 10 years. And as bulk drug, we manufacture some of the life-saving drugs. And the life-saving drugs that we generically produce and send abroad, the cost is so low. Even life-saving drugs are available for middle class, poor, all around the world. People depend on us. If this is one side of the story, the raw materials for those generic products were also made in India. For instance, the active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs. India used to produce its own API, and therefore became a very important factor that we had the raw material base with us, so you enlarged your capacities in producing the generic drugs. Gradually, through predatory pricing, this API production in this country slipped out because of predatory pricing of just one country. We lost the basis that we had, and literally the API dependence of India on one particular country as the source for all API grew so much that today nearly 68% is dependent on one country from where we bring in these APIs. We have now made it clear that we can't anymore depend on this one country source. Actually speaking, we should come back to restoring that API production capacity that we had in India, and we should recover it so that we, one, don't depend on somebody else for the raw material. Two, since we are the biggest producer of generic drugs, it makes sense that that crucial input is now produced in India, APIs. Similarly, where some of the diagnostic equipments which were coming from abroad, India has the capability to produce basic diagnostic equipments, whether it's your sugar testing, whether it's your BP testing, whether it's your pulse testing, whether it is your echocardiogram. Many of these equipments are today available in India, and India is one of the biggest markets because the rate at which we want to increase the presence of hospitals, the rate at which we want to increase health services to our own people, can we afford to import basic diagnostic tools from abroad? And therefore, we have made sure that the country will have at least 6 large pharmaceutical and medical equipment producing dedicated areas. They are spread across 6 states, and we have made sure incentives are given to people who will come and set up business there to produce APIs, to manufacture such diagnostic equipments also. So if that is the way in which this country's strength is being brought back, it's being brought back purely on the back of this policy of Prime Minister Modi, which is the Atmanirbhar package. So you would see example by example that we are taking steps to restore India's strength, the strength that we had, which gradually got eroded because we thought somebody's producing for cheaper, should we allow it? And we thought it's better for our own manufacturers to have cheaper raw produce come, and therefore started gradually letting go the advantage that we had, instead of making that advantage that we had more efficient, instead of making those advantages that we had more cost effective, instead of making those advantages that we had more scaling up to produce as much as we require and even to export. So the priority and the focus of Atmanirbhar Bharat is essentially to get back the strengths that we had once, as much as making sure that we draw many others to come and produce in India. And that is why productivity linked incentives, the PLIs, are being given by us to attract greater investments which will come in particular sectors which can produce more jobs, which can produce more such goods which can be exported. So the focus of Atmanirbhar therefore has been, one, to have your strength built on all strengths that you had with you already. Two, to bring in the strengths which will benefit our uh, large skilled, semi-skilled, and even unskilled workers. And therefore, when we give incentives for people to come and invest in India, it is not just for the money, it's also because that activity which we are quite skilled to produce, we should produce, give livelihood to our own people, and at the same time produce goods which can be sold all over the world. So, if these are examples with which I can explain what actually we've done in terms of Atmanirbhar Bharat, the union budget had also many other such announcements, and based on these, the changes are happening to strengthen India. I just want to give you a couple of examples to prove how the steps that are taken along with the coronavirus pandemic based relief that we had to give. I said even at the beginning that in spite of the pandemic based situation, where it's a big challenge, we have to ensure that people get the relief. We have to ensure that the poor don't suffer. We have to ensure that nobody goes hungry. All those steps being taken, equally, that challenging time, we came up with very many reform based steps. Why do we want these reforms? Because, as I said earlier, unless we bring in systemic reforms, you're not going to be able to make that change to have India stand on its own. That strength for India to be self reliant. And therefore, we made sure that there will be reform based steps which will be taken even along with relief being offered for corona based pandemic situation based relief to be provided. People do say, no, 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 sometimes you've done something which is nothing new. Here I want to list before you the steps that we've taken, all the steps that we've been taking, all of which will tell you that the reform steps announced during the pandemic are being announced for the first time. They are truly steps being announced for reforming our systems which were never announced before. And therefore, if anybody stands up to say, no, 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 we've heard of all this earlier, it's not true. I want to list out those steps which were taken even during this time, even during the COVID pandemic time, because every crisis, every challenge, Prime Minister Modi said, I will attend, I will make sure that people are given the relief. But this challenge will also have to be seen as an opportunity for India to open up, for India to be a far more effective economy. And therefore, this period of the COVID pandemic was also taken not just a time when there are challenges, but an opportunity to bring in such reforms which were never done before. So I'll just very quickly list you those steps which I want to include here as those reform-based steps which were never taken earlier before. The first one is we made sure that in the global tender inquiries which Government of India will announce for procurement of goods or services, they shall never be for tenders which are below 200 crores. In other words, For those which are tenders for 200 crores and less, we shall not make it global tender. It shall be necessarily procured or the services obtained only from India. That was one major announcement. The second one nation, one ration card. We saw how migrant workers, our brothers from the various parts of the country who were living elsewhere, were also moving back to their villages. Now, if only they had a one nation, one ration card, wherever they could move, they can take that quantum of ration which they may want for themselves, whilst equally at the same time allowing their families to draw the ration wherever they are. If with the technology that is available, it is possible to have one ration card in the entire country, allowing people free movement and equally the sense of food security being provided to them. That was also something which is newly announced. Third, again talking about the migrant workers, they go from one place to another, but have no place to live. In the sense where they are working, they're probably living in some kind of a accommodation which their friends have shown, but not a decent accommodation which the employer can give them. So we have made sure that in the Atmanirbhar Bharat announcements, we have come up with an affordable rental housing scheme for migrants, so that their employer can say to the local urban body, the urban local body in whose area these workers go and work, can have the employer book up saying, I have 100 workers. I have 100 workers who have come from a different part. I want them to have some affordable rental housing. They can pay up and have the urban local body, the municipality or anybody, give them a rental housing. They don't need to own it, pay rent, affordable rent, live, do their work, and as and when they want to go back to their village. So that scheme was also announced during the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Similarly, the street vendors. Similarly, for the street vendors, an incentive-based program was given and digital payment provision was also extended to them, thereby giving them financial inclusion and also benefits of transaction being immediately into their account instead of having to deal with cash. Another major change which has always hindered our farmers from getting good price or suffer because of hoarding in parts of the country was to look at amendments to the Essential Commodities Act, a major step, and this will provide choice of marketing for farmers. Going further, again an announcement made during this pandemic time, but a major reform step is commercial mining in the coal sector. I just want to highlight that India, on an average, imports 235.5 million tons of coal per year. 235.5 million tons of coal is imported into this country when we have a wealth of coal in this country remaining untapped. So we have brought in commercial mining. Terms of this mining are so favorable that private participation can happen. People can become good exploiters of the mining resource, and this import can be stopped. If that mining wealth is available, if the coal wealth is available in this country, why do we have to import? There may be specialized coal which we don't have, which may be imported. But it cannot be that we have the mines untapped, but we are importing coal. So the commercializing the coal sector was another major step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. More important is defense production. In that we made sure that items which can be produced in India will have a captive buyer in the defense forces. The three forces and Coast Guard put together can buy at least those items from our own producers rather than import them. So we have listed out those items which cannot be imported and necessarily will have to be bought from India only, thereby bringing in capacity for those who are already producing that to scale up, and for newer producers also to come into that field. Next is plan to make India a global hub for MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhauling of aircrafts. And in this, civilian and also defense aircrafts can all come into the picture, and the maintenance and repair as much as overall of all these aircrafts, if done in India, will not only create jobs but also save foreign exchange being sent abroad for every aircraft which needs servicing, and also the component, the spare part, all that can be done here, produced here, and also used here, thereby saving foreign exchange, providing newer jobs, and a lot of economic activity around it. That call also was taken during Atmanirbhar Bharat. Similarly, opening up the space activities for private sector is a big thing for our startups. They have a lot of experiments. Some of them are going somewhere to Central Asia to try launching their satellites, which they can launch in India because the facilities are absolutely